Hello, welcome to Late Night Pens. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Sheaffer Intensity fountain pen. The Sheaffer Intensity has been around for a little while now, but it has recently received a facelift with some new colour schemes and finishes. Let's have a start by looking at the packaging that the pen comes in.
So this is the box that the Sheaffer Intensity comes in. So you've got a nice card sleeve over the top. You can slide that off, and you've got the clamshell box in here. I think it's made of card, and there's a leatherette finish at the top, so it feels quite nice. Open it up, and on the inside you've got the pen itself on the top. This is kind of a soft, almost like a felt, fluffy inside to the pen getting scratched. You can take the little trapdoor off, and in the bottom here there's the usage and care guide. And then there is 2 cartridges, and it comes with 1 black and 1 blue.
The particular pen here is in the new translucent red lacquer finish. I like the colour of this a lot, and it's very eye-catching, and the translucentness of the lacquer gives the colour some depth. This lacquer is then engraved with a waved pattern which goes around the body and around the cap. The top of the cap and the bottom of the barrel have matching finials, both are polished chrome and slightly rounded. The clip is of the same polished chrome and features the iconic Sheaffer white dot at the top. The clip is very long, almost as long as the entire cap. Because of this, the pivot point when clipped to a shirt is quite far down on the pen, close to the centre of mass. This means that despite the pen being heavy, it is kept secure by the clip. As you can see here, the clip is not stiff, but it grips onto shirt pockets very securely. The slightly rounded end of the clip means it can be slipped into a pocket nice and easily as well. Below the clip, there is the thick silver cap band with Sheaffer engraved along the side of it. The cap itself is straight down its length, whereas the barrel is straight for about a quarter before tapering down towards the end of the pen. This pen features a screw-off cap which unscrews in 3/4 of a turn. The cap does then post on the end of the barrel, and it posts securely. The cap doesn't post too deeply down the length of the barrel though, which makes the pen quite long. On the inside of the cap there is a black lining which prevents the cap from scratching the barrel when the pen is posted. When the pen is posted, the centre of mass rests just beneath the cap band here, which does make the pen slightly back heavy, but not overly so. We then move down to the stainless steel nib, which is available as a fine or as a medium point. Whilst the nib does look quite plain, with only the word Sheaffer engraved on it, it does match the look of the overall pen. The grip section is all metal and slightly concave, which does mean it is comfortable to hold and not overly slippy. You then get down to the cap threads, which are metal, and there is a slight step to the barrel. If you wanted to hold the pen further back, these aren't uncomfortable to hold. This pen is nearly entirely metal, which does mean it is reasonably heavy. However, I don't find it is overly heavy or uncomfortable to write with. Overall, I think this is a very good looking pen. Whilst very simple in its design, the deep colour and the engraved lacquer really make it look unique and eye-catching. When we unscrew the pen, we will find that it is a cartridge converter. The converter is provided and it is proprietary, which means you can only use Sheaffer own brand converters on cartridges. Here is a closer look at the feed and the converter which is provided. I did find that the converter worked smoothly and I was able to get a full fill on the first time. The feed end is sort of unique and very specific to the Sheaffer pens, but it does mean that the converter puts on quite nicely and is very secure when it is on.
Let's move on now and do some size comparisons and some writing samples.
So for a couple of size comparisons, we have the Sheaffer Intensity lined up next to the Pelikan M200, the Sheaffer 100, the Cross Townsend and the Narwhal Original. When they're all capped, it is kind of a medium-sized pen, a bit longer than the M200 but shorter than the Cross and the Narwhal. When the caps are taken off, it is again kind of in the middle, similar kind of length to the Pelikan M200, but a bit shorter than the Cross and the Narwhal. But when the cap is posted on the back, you can see just how long the pen becomes. It is quite a bit longer than all of the other pens. The Narwhal doesn't post. Okay, here we are for starters. This is the Sheaffer Intensity on a Rhodia pad of paper. So we have Sheaffer Intensity. This is a medium steel nib.
So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dot. Please excuse the writing as I'm from behind the tripod. The ink here is Pelican 4001 and it is brilliant red. In terms of wetness of the nib, it looks okay to me. This is a reasonably dry ink to begin with, but I've got no concerns there that the feed will be able to keep up. In terms of line variation, you can get a little bit, but it is quite a stiff steel nib. In terms of a bit of fast writing, that seems to be all okay in terms of the feed keeping up as well. I have been using this to write the reviews out as well, and I've had no problems with any skips or hard starts or any ink starvation, anything like that. Then here's the writing on the journal paper. So again, nice and smooth, just a little touch of feedback. It's a little bit more absorbent, of course, being journal paper, but still nice. I didn't show you on the Rhodia pad, but in terms of reverse writing, it is a little bit scratchy, but you do get quite a good ink flow still, and you do get a slightly finer line as well.
As I mentioned in the writing sample, I like the way this pen writes quite a lot. It's very smooth with a touch of pencil-like feedback, which makes it very pleasant to write with. The feed keeps up nicely, giving you a nice wet line, and I have had no problems with ink starvation or any skips or hard starts. The pen is not prone to drying out. I left it unkept for about a minute or so to give it a test, and it wrote just as it would ordinarily. Some slight downsides to the pen to consider. It is reasonably heavy. At 36 grams, you can certainly feel when it's in your pocket or when you're holding it. I don't find it to be too heavy or uncomfortable to write with, but if you're used to a resin-based pen, this may be a little bit too heavy for you. Additionally, the metal grip won't be for everybody. It does get quite slippery if you've been using it in the hot or the cold, so that is something to bear in mind as well. For cleaning the pen, the design of the feed does make it a little bit harder to get water to run straight through. I recommend using a bulb syringe to help force water through to clean out any dried ink. You can also of course use the converter, but this could take a little bit longer. When cleaning the pen, I didn't find the ink to stay in the pen for too long, and it did clean out nicely quite quickly when using the bulb syringe. The Sheaffer Intensity fountain pen retails at £70, which is $110 or 85 euros. I find this price to be quite reasonable for the pen that you receive, as it writes very nicely, is well made, and you are backed by the lifetime guarantee as well. That concludes my review of the Sheaffer Intensity fountain pen. If you have any feedback or questions, please be sure to add them to the comments below. Thank you very much for watching.